So for the first part of, I guess, the basics of posture, we start by lifting our arms up as if we were holding an instrument. And the reason we start with that, I believe, is so we can work on our shoulders, making sure that they're relaxed after we get this feeling, and then also making sure that we open up our stomach area for a better posture, because you don't want to be hunched over like this. So first, we want to make sure that when we do lift our arms up, we keep our elbows parallel to our shoulders, or I guess in line with our shoulders, not really parallel. And then we also keep our hand aligned with our arm, like straight line, not like this or this when you're holding the instrument, or like this or this, because that is, I guess, bad wrist posture. But then you just basically just start out by just lifting up, and then bringing it back down, and then doing that another time. And then from there you can you work on other things like finding out a way to relax your shoulders, such as just you take a deep breath in while lifting your shoulders up to your ears, so, and then you let it all out and let your shoulders drop. And that is a very helpful way to relax your shoulders. And then from there, you take your thumb and put it right at the bottom of your rib cage, and your pointer finger, or I guess your pointer and your middle finger if you want, and you align them at the top of your hip, and then from there you want to try to separate them, I guess. So instead of being like all like this where they're close together, you want to kind of open that up, and that not only straightens your back but just fixes like the rest of your posture and makes you more open in the front area. Once you get your shoulders relaxed, you want to make sure that they're not just doing nothing or being all hunched over or all the way back here. Whatever your relaxed is, you want to make sure to keep them kind of back like this, but not way too far back so you're puffing out your chest, but just enough so that you're opening your chest. So how to do that is you would take your shoulders like just from your relaxed position and lift them up and back so that your shoulder blades, you're kind of bringing them just together, but not like jamming them together. So you just up and back, and then with your shoulders there, you are ready to pick up your instrument for the first time. And once you learn those first basic exercises, you can then pick up your instrument for the first time and try lifting it up and down, keeping in mind everything we've already gone over. So the shoulders, the chest, keeping your arms level when you do lift it up, like up here. So then you would just lift, and then you do it again. And from there, we can get into more of the, I guess, advanced basics of your posture. The next exercise we're doing has to do with flattening out our back. And one way we can find a nice, easy way, I guess, to see how it feels to make sure your back is perfectly flat is by laying on the floor, because when you lay on the floor, if you have your legs up like this, naturally your back will have a bit of an arc in there. And we don't want that when we're marching. We want to have a nice flat back. So what we would do is just kind of adjust your hips, rotating them backwards until your lower back is flush against the floor, and there's no arc and no kind of just area where you can like stick your hand under and get underneath, because your back is completely against the floor. So once you get that feeling, you want to get up and see how that feels while standing, because we're not marching while laying on our backs, we're standing while marching. So you want to kind of grab your hips and then rotate them back or forth, depending on what your natural posture is, until you kind of get that feeling that you have a nice flat back. And this next exercise is a little longer, but it is helpful with keeping your entire body in alignment while you're marching. So you'd first start with your chin up, and then from there you'd kind of go down and back up, just kind of to find some reference points for what would be a good straight body alignment. And once you have your chin down, you do a similar thing with your shoulders. Back and forth and back and forth until you get back up forward like this. And then you take just your upper back, kind of feel down here at your lower back just to see how far you can bend until you start bending your lower back. Then you just kind of bend that, and then once that is hunched over with still your neck down and your shoulders over, then you go into your lower back. And you go all the way down and back up, but not all the way back up. You still want to keep your upper back bent while your lumbar, your lower back area is still straight. Then you go back down, and once your back is kind of all the way arched over as it can be, your upper and lower back, then you would just bend your legs down into a squatting position like this, because your legs are the final, I guess, big part of keeping your entire body in a straight alignment. And then when you're down here, you could take a few breaths. And then one by one, you'd bring yourself all the way back up to a straight, linear body alignment. Starting with the legs first, bring them back up, keeping your back still hunched all the way over. Then you'd go just lower back, all the way up, keeping your upper back still tilted over. Then you go upper back, but keeping your shoulders forward. Now once your upper back is all the way up, then you bring your shoulders back into that nice position. Then you lift your chin up, and if you did it right, you have a nice straight body alignment. Then you want to start working with kind of getting to know your feet, I guess, and being able to keep them nice and balanced, because when your feet are balanced and your body's in a nice straight alignment, you have a good posture. Both of those add together to create just the best marching posture that you could have. So first, you want to kind of do your little feet turnout, so you're not keeping your feet inwards and you don't have your feet all the way out when you're in first position. You have them at a nice pizza slice angle, or for reference, you can take your fist and kind of put it in between your feet, and that's kind of the difference that you want to have them angled outward. Next thing you want to do is kind of practice feeling your weight in the front and back halves of your feet, so you can keep it nice and equal while you are standing or marching. So first you'd want to find your balance by bringing yourself up to your tiptoes. Once you have your balance, you bring yourself down onto just the balls of your feet, which is the toes as well as, I guess, kind of the front half of your foot. And while your ankles and heels are lowered to the ground, they are not yet completely on the ground, because balancing on the balls of your feet are getting you to feel that balance when you're up and while marching. And then once you're nice and balanced, you can bring yourself back down onto your flat feet, and then you can try kind of the same thing, but instead of going onto your tiptoes, you're going onto your heels. And you kind of want to go back until you feel just like you're about to fall over, or even fall over, but then you want to find a balance while lifting your toes up. And sometimes it can take a little while, and sometimes it might even take a few tries, but once you do find that balance in your heels, you bring them back down. And now you know how the equilibrium is in your feet, as you felt the front and back, but there still is 2 more exercises to do with your feet and keeping yourself balanced. The last exercise you're going to be doing with your feet is one you want to do just once or twice, not too many times, because you don't want to get used to this feeling, but you want to just kind of know how it feels, so you can keep yourself nice and balanced while you're marching. So instead of going onto the front or back halves of your feet, now we're going on to the outer and inner halves of our feet. So first you kind of roll your big toes up to the sky. You kind of end up being on the outer halves of your feet. and then you bring them back in, and then the opposite is where you bring your pinky toes up to the sky, and now your inner halves are on the floor while your outer halves are up in the air. And you don't want to do that one too many times because it is not very comfortable at all, but you do want to do it at least once or twice just to kind of get the gist and understanding of it. So once you've gone through all of the basics, now you're ready to do the 4 times 4 count horn move, where it's up 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, down 2, 3, 4, and then hold 2, 3, 4. And then you go through that 4 times total. And while you're doing it, you want to also keep in mind all of the basics we've gone over. So your feet, keeping a straight body alignment, and making sure your shoulders are not all up in your ears. While you're doing it, they're nice and relaxed, but also back to keep your chest opened, as well as your elbows staying up. So then we do the 4 count. 5, 6, 7, 8, and up, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and up, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and up, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and up, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. And now, after doing all that, we have completed all of the basics in keeping your posture nice and aligned throughout marching.